Roll call.
Parker,
Here.
Miscelinich,
Here.
Olson,
Here.
Zittergruen,
Here.
Chisel,
Here.
Neal.
Here.
Okay, public comment. I'm going to make just an announcement that publicly that we received from Lion Energy a reply to the MEU master list that went out, and I just want to acknowledge that that was received by the city. Then this is a time that anybody can come up and talk to the council, and on any given topic, you've got 3 minutes. You come up and you put your name and state your name and address.
Thank you. Tim Wagner, 505 Franklin Street, Decorah. Thank you all for being here and the opportunity again to speak. I think I was here last week, or was it 2 weeks ago? I don't remember now. Speaking on this topic of the issue with the city council authorizing up to $15,000 for the education component preceding the MEU vote, which I certainly applaud you doing. I guess I'm somewhat inclined to come here again this evening after something I witnessed just today. I saw somebody's put up a yard sign that it was an Alliant Energy sign, and it looked like it was obviously from 2018 because they had masked out or painted over the date of the vote of May 18th or May 1st, 2018. And all this sign says is something like stop the MEU vote unless you want higher rates. And my blood pressure went up because that's a lie. We haven't even voted on anything yet. And we won't vote on anything until March 4th. And after that, even if we do get an approval vote to explore it, we won't know what our rates will be for a long time after that. This is, again, another attempt by a monolithic investor-owned utility trying to disinform the citizens of Decorah. And like I said the last time I was here, I don't care whether you're for or against an MEU, you should be for accurate information and for the voters to have that information to make an informed vote. Plain and simple. There should be no exception to this whatsoever, and we as the citizens and this body should not tolerate attempts by Alliant Energy to mislead the people before this March 4th vote. It's atrocious, and I just ask that the city council stand up to this in any way possible. You can stand your ground. You know, you can ask for accurate information. You should demand it, and we should demand it as citizens. Because if we don't have that, we're going to go down the wrong road again with bad votes. And like I said the last time, I can't remember how many people I've talked to in the last 6 years who voted one way and wished they would have voted another way had they gotten more accurate information. So this is really an important issue for the city of Decorah in our future, and it deserves all the accurate information we can get. And I'm just not going to stand here and tolerate Alliant Energy trying to mislead my neighbors, my friends, this body that I support with my tax dollars. We deserve honesty and integrity in this. And that's all I need to say. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Travis, are you timing?
Yep. Kent Clokey, 702 Decorah Avenue. Accurate and information is very important, and I think we need to look at all sides of things. Today I was trying to educate myself and inform myself with some of the issues that we're going to be facing here in the next few months. And I went on the city website, and I know a few months ago there used to be a nice easy link to get to the task force final report, and off that task force report there were links that worked and tied to things together to get back out the information that they use their information from. I went to it today. That easy front page link was missing, And once I did find the 36-page report by doing a search for it, which wasn't extremely hard, but I did find it, only about a third of the links worked. So I could get into the feasibility study that was done by Alliant, but I could not get into the feasibility study done for Decorah Powers. So if we want people to be well-informed with where the decisions are coming from, then that should be transparent. And so I'm asking for those easy links and those links back to the information where it came from be reestablished for an easy link. Thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing, seeing none. Decorah Area Chamber of Commerce, Jessica Rilling.
Good evening. Just wanted to come tonight and tell the council and the mayor thank you for support and partnership in 2024. 2024 was the 100th year for the Decorah Area Chamber, and we celebrated also a major milestone for the city, the 175th year. It was a wonderful year for both the city and the chamber. I thought I might mention a few things this year that the chamber led, including our first restaurant week, manufacturing week, and wellness week. We were pleased to work together with the city on the parklet effort for the 2 new parklets, which are located in the downtown seasonally now. It was great to be connected with Downtown Decorah Betterment, SMID, and the city to make that project a reality. I wanted to also just say thank you for considering a budget request for the next fiscal year, and that I look forward to working with all of you in 2025.
Any council people have any questions, comments?
Thank you. Just thank you for all that you do. The chamber's done some really wonderful things this year, and every year proceeding. So we really appreciate all the work that you do. Thank you.
I did make a small note that the city manager owns a peppermint blazer. Our peppermint walk is going to be bigger and better next year. We may need some judges for a window contest, and so I've made a note on the side of my paper here.
Yeah.
Absolutely required. Yes.
Yeah,
thank you all.
I just wanted to thank you for all the work you guys do down there. You do a tremendous job with running the chamber and the visitor center and everything that goes on down there. Just want to especially thank you for Restaurant Week. That's the reason I have 5 more pounds on me because of that. My wife and I ate out every night that week, so appreciate that. Thanks.
You have about 6 weeks to lose the pounds, and then it starts over again.
Right, exactly, right. So
All right.
I'm still working on that. So.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Please tell your staff also that it's appreciated, all the hard work they do. I get comments a lot about the events that are going on, especially if people are dressing up downtown. So, thank you. Consent agenda.
Item A, minutes of the December 2nd, 2024 council meeting. B, claims. C, C3 design application for Marhaba LLC at 107 West Water Street, contingent on DHPC endorsement. D, resolution setting public hearing on amending Title 17 of the Decorah Municipal Code, Section 17.36.020, procedure regarding site plans. E, resolution accepting recommended rankings for energy planning services RFQ responses. F, resolution awarding downtown economic development grants. G, resolution approving 2025 airport capital improvement plan. H, change order number 1 for Decorah 2024 street improvements asphalt resurfacing project. I, change order number 2, rectify quantities for change order 2024 street improvements asphalt resurfacing project. J, pay application number 2 final for Decorah 2024 street improvements asphalt resurfacing project. K, resolution accepting Decorah 2024 street improvements asphalt resurfacing project as complete. L, pay application number 3 for Dry Run Creek WQI wetland project. M, reappointment of Martin Refsall to Planning and Zoning Commission. N, appointment of Tim Wagner to the Decorah Sustainability Commission. O, tax abatement, Ossie Haugen Senior Services, 1014 and 1016 Glenbarth Circle for new construction. And P, tax abatement, Ossie Haugen Senior Services, 1009 and 1011 Glenbarth Circle, new construction.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Olson, second by Parker to approve. Any discussion?
Just want to thank Tim, since he's here tonight, for stepping up to the plate and volunteering to be on the Sustainability Commission. Appreciate it. Thanks, Tim.
Roll call?
Olson,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Misselinich,
Aye.
Zittergruen,
Aye.
Chisel, Neal.
Aye.
Motion carried. Consider resolution establishing Decorah records retention policy by reference. You want to give some background on that, please?
Yes. So this is something that's been on staff kind of back burner for quite some time. But the Iowa League of Cities has a records retention policy that is reviewed and potentially updated annually. The city of Decorah does not have its own records retention policy on how long we maintain our documents before they are destroyed. We currently rent space off-site for storage of many hard copies of old documents, and the proposed resolution would adopt the Iowa League of Cities records retention policy for the city of Decorah. Staff would then use this to go through the old documents and dispose of what's no longer necessary, with the goal of eliminating the need to rent additional off-storage space. Off-site storage, excuse me.
Just out of curiosity, where do we have that off-site storage?
The old security bank.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's in the basement,
Oh,
and
okay.
the last time it was accessed was,
How long does the League of Iowa Cities recommend holding on to records before you filter through them?
so the full reference is in Dropbox?
Yeah, it depends what type of record it is.
Yeah.
One of the reasons, this was always part of the plan anyway, but one of the reasons is that the street department is no longer taking care of that parking lot, so now we need to start paying rent. And I mean, it's reasonable, the rent's reasonable, but still, I mean, that was one of our goals anyway, so we just figured it was time to. So it depends on what type of record it is, and that's what's in the Dropbox if you go through it. And
Right.
they have their, attorneys looking at it for, there's reasons why you wanna get rid of some, and other stuff you keep permanently.
Yeah, because it's all broken down by things of historical value. For example, ordinances, resolutions, minutes are perpetuity. We're not destroying anything like that. But receipt books that, somebody that paid their water bill 10 years ago, we don't necessarily need to maintain that for perpetuity, right? So there's a number of financial, I think 7 years, if I'm remembering off the top of my head. So you've paid your water bill 7 years ago, I think we can get rid of that receipt.
Right.
Things like that.
Yeah, no, I think this is a good idea, but is this going to be a lengthy process for staff to do all this?
Oh, it's gonna take
Yeah,
some time for
yeah.
full implementation,
right,
yes.
yeah, okay.
But the alternative is if we don't have a policy to go off of, the staff would actually have to go through everything, identify what we have, and bring it back to council for an agendized item for the council to approve the destruction of these documents.
I'll make a motion that we pass resolution establishing a Decorah records retention policy.
Second.
Motion made by Neal, seconded by Olson. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Neal?
Aye.
Olson?
Aye.
Misselinich?
Aye.
Zittergruen?
Aye.
Chisel?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Motion carried. Just a reminder to council to make sure you've got your speakers on and that you are close enough to pick up. Consider resolution approving funding agreement with the Iowa Department of Transportation for the State Recreation Trails Grant awarded for the Carlson Park Phases 1A and B project. You want to give background on that, please?
Yeah. As council remembers, the city of Decorah was awarded nearly $300,000 towards the Carlson Park Phase 1A and 1B trail projects out there. Part of that requires entering into this funding agreement with the Iowa Department of Transportation. Key things indicated in it, of course, the city serves as a lead organization for developing the park. We ensure a local contribution of at least $200,000, which may be cash or in-kind contributions, adhering to the funding match where the grant funds cover no more than 75% of the eligible costs. Shouldn't be an issue, because if you do that math, $300,000 in award means that the project would need to be at least $400,000, and we could need to contribute at least $200,000 to the project. I think we got that part covered pretty easily. Project must start within 2 years. Those plans are currently, the SWIP is being rolled into the final design, and hope to have that here real soon to actually put it out to bid. So project must start within 2 years. Detailed plans need to be approved by the DOT, so once we get those plans ready, we'll send them off to the DOT. And we manage, of course, all permits, environmental compliance, and any utility relocations. Shouldn't be an issue out there. One thing of note, city must maintain the project for 20 years post-completion. So just making sure everyone understands acceptance upon this means it's a mountain bike trail for the next 20 years.
I'll make a motion approving funding agreement with the Iowa Department of Transportation for the State Recreation Trails Grant awarded for Carlson Park Phases 1A and 1B project.
Motion made by Parker, seconded by Chisel. Any further discussion? Hearing seen none, roll call.
Parker?
Aye.
Chisel?
Aye.
Olson?
Aye.
Zittergruen?
Aye.
Neal?
Aye.
Miscelinich?
Aye.
Motion carried. Consider approval of a master list of educational material for MEU vote. You want to give some update? I think you've got some information on that.
Mm-hmm. So at the December 2nd council meeting, the council voted to allocate some resources towards educational material for the March 4th MEU vote. During that discussion, the council indicated that they want to review and approve any material used for the educational materials. Portions of the proposed master list could be used by the Sustainability Commission for educational materials, and the entire document would appear as text on that newly created MEU button on our homepage, which might be part of the issue of why some links are maybe no longer directed the correct route. The material has been reviewed by special counsel for conformance to Iowa Code Chapter 68A. However, one recommendation to truly make sure that we're not going to run awry is to make any consideration of this contingent upon review of the Iowa Ethics Board, and not use it until they've weighed in and said, yes, this is fine. I've already made that request of the Ethics Board. I have not heard back. I've just asked them to make sure they are willing. It is within their rules that they can review material ahead of time, but I just asked for confirmation. Haven't received it yet.
Go ahead.
Is the request to approve what we have in the Dropbox tonight?
So that's
This
what
would
we
be
have
pens?
in there.
Okay,
Yes. So
I'll go
it's up
back
for
over
council
them and we'll
discussion.
Sure. I would make a motion that we approve the master list of educational materials for the MEU vote, contingent on a review by the Ethics Board. I feel like we have gotten the go-ahead from our lawyer, and that it makes sense that we should go to the Ethics Board to verify that we are well within the law.
I'll second.
Oh, thanks, Brent. I had a question is all.
Did somebody?
Brent seconded.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Motion made by Neal, seconded by Parker.
Just,
You have a question?
do we have any sense of how long a review by the Ethics Commission would take?
No, so my understanding is the board as a whole only meets monthly. So that's gonna be one of the biggest things where if, I don't know when we're gonna get a response to this email. I would hope that would be sooner rather than later. But the ethics board as a whole only meets once a month. My understanding is it is towards the end of the month, so we might still catch them for December. Otherwise, we would then submit and hopefully they take it up in their January meeting.
If they don't meet till the end of January, obviously that's too late of a time period, can we revisit this and take a different approach? Or can we petition them to say, like, we actually need this reviewed? Is there a method for that?
I'll answer the first question there first. Yes, that's very similar to in the consent agenda, the C3 contingent upon DHPC review. If Historic Preservation comes back and says, no, we don't endorse it, it's coming back through the process again automatically.
Okay.
So we can revisit if they haven't reviewed it at our next meeting.
Okay.
Second part, I don't know that I can answer that one, quite honestly.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to assume that if they review it, they're not going to make recommendations on, like, if they find 4 or 5 things that they don't like that we've contained in that document, they're not going to make recommendations of how that should be changed. That will be up to us, I'm assuming.
That would be my assumption, correct, that they're not going to recommend changes. My hope would be that it's either thumbs up, yep, this is fine, or strike this, you know, they at least say what is not okay.
Right.
Okay.
That's the bigger, more important question.
I also wonder,
And as,
oh, go ahead, sorry, go.
well, I was going to say, as part of your motion, do you want that to make sure that it comes back to council for approval after they've reviewed it, if there's changes that need to be made to it? The document?
Well, I actually want to, I assume if they say no, then we have to go back to the drawing board. But if they say yes, I don't feel like it needs to come back to council.
Right, I mean, if they say yes.
Yeah,
Right, but okay.
so I guess that would be an understanding, right? That if they say yes, we're moving ahead. If they say no, obviously we have to come up with a different approach. And if they don't have any comment because they haven't met or aren't going to meet, we need to come back to the drawing board as well.
So my take on the motion that's out there is that anything that is approved by IUB, by, a lot of acronyms
Ethics.
discussed lately.
Ethics board.
Ethics board. Anything that comes back from them with a thumbs up is considered approved by them, and this council, this motion on the table is approval contingent on review from that board. So anything that makes it through there is valid. Anything that's a strike through is not, so that just gets withheld. That's my take on it. Is that correct from the motion in the second?
Yeah, I could make I don't know if I need to make an amendment, but one thought I do have, obviously this is time sensitive for us, right? We've got 2 months. And also, we want to be somehow nimble with our sustainability commission that also only meets once a month. I do wonder if our lawyer has approved this, and we have all seen this. What if we said that if additional work needs to be done, it could be directed through city staff, and that the staff could work with it if there's, like, you know, if they strike a line or two, I figure it's fine. If they strike an entire question, did that need to come back to the board?
I guess my question would be, how comfortable does staff feel of answering those questions or putting their neck out there?
Right. So my take would be, the hurdle we need to make sure that we're getting above with Chapter 68A is that we're not expressly advocating for any position on this measure. So that's the whole premise behind sending it to the Iowa Ethics Board, is that they weigh in and make sure we're not expressly advocating for a position. If they come back and say, no, this is a no-go, I don't know that we even try and formulate something that's close to it.
Right.
We just throw it
No.
away. Nope, not doing it. I would not look at putting additional information as staff through that process necessarily, because again, my role is to carry out what the majority of you dictate. So I, as staff, unless I have guidance from the majority of you guys, I wouldn't know what to put forward.
So I think I'm gonna leave it as it is, because I think it's really a yay or nay from the ethics board. Either yes, we can do it, or no, we can't, and that seems to be a pretty good stopgap measure in my mind. I have one question, just for clarification. This all changes, right? If we have a board, if we actually had a vote at council and got approval, and we had a positive vote that said we actually want to support the referendum, we actually want to be like, we support this as council, and that had a positive referendum. Does that we can then advocate? Is that correct?
You can't, as I understand it, and I only play city attorney in these meetings, John, so jump in. But the council as a whole can pass a resolution advocating for one side or the other of a ballot measure. And that's it.
Okay.
You can pass a resolution. It doesn't mean that you can then further spend additional funding or resources to advocate for that role, but the council can adopt a resolution stating where the city council stands.
Would that have to be a unanimous vote from the city council? Okay,
Simple majority.
okay.
So that makes
But-
sense.
But these funds that we've allocated correctly, or at this point in time, would not be allowed to be used though, correct? Just
Not-
because we,
Not on advocating for a position.
right.
So I am going to stay with my resolution. I think it makes sense. The lawyers looked at it. We've looked at it. Those have both been thumbs up. If the ethics board gives it a thumbs up, I say we should start moving on. And that would, to me, the ethics board is going to say, this material is not advocating. You're good to go. Or they're going to say it's advocating and we're not good to go.
And if they give a thumbs down,
Then,
you want it to come back to
Then we have to
council?
start over.
Start over. Okay.
Yeah, we gotta start
Okay.
over or something.
Okay, if we had that part in there.
Is the resolution clear? Okay.
As the mayor pointed out earlier during the public comment section, there was, a letter received from a lawyer at Alliant by the city. I think we were all copied on it, all the council members, I think. And we got it 2 hours ago. It's a couple pages long and makes some legal arguments that I think are pretty weighty. Makes some factual arguments that I think are, some of them have some, at least arguments in their favor, and some, to my estimation, don't. But I am just kind of curious if the rest of the council, one, have you had a chance to consider the objections to what we're talking about in terms of educational materials tonight that were raised by Alliant in this letter? And if you have, do you think that those objections from Alliant aren't, worthy of thinking about this project? If you haven't had a chance to read this letter, I wonder, and I wonder if this is maybe the best course of action, as much as I hate another delay. I wonder if we maybe need a couple days to get feedback from our attorney to a response to Alliance claims, or even from John in response to Alliance claims.
So to that, I was able to send it off briefly to the attorney. We're using special legal counsel on this matter, and a precursory review. The best way to compare or to provide an analogy of this is if I were to say it's dark outside and Carrie says, no, it's nighttime, we're both factually correct, but they're saying different things, right? So that is kind of the example. That's the example I'm giving on what the Alliance response is very factual base. Not saying that what's been prepared for the council's consideration isn't. So I want to be clear about that both have factual merit to them, but they tell little different stories, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I just want to say one more thing about this letter. And I was just kind of curious about what a mechanism would be for allowing for adequate response from council if we could do a special meeting or something in a few days. I know we're getting close to tough times to plan these things, but I do want to make sure that we're taking the claims seriously, and I don't think that Alliance timing is in bad faith here. I often don't ascribe to them good faith, but they have not had a lot of time to respond to this, and so I don't want to assume that that's the case here, that they're throwing objections at an inconvenient time for us for the sake of making our work harder. I don't think that's what's going on. I want to make sure that we're taking these seriously and giving them, a fair hearing. And I should say this for the members of the public and the press. This letter is available. You can have my copy after the meeting, but it's also on Alliance for Decorah's Facebook page. You can find it there.
I just received it, so I know there's a lot of content in there. So I know for myself, other council people can chime in too, but I haven't had a chance to really look at it to see where they're coming. I can understand where they're coming from. I just haven't had a chance to read it.
I received it an hour and a half ago. I have read it. I have looked through it. I have comments on it. I'd be happy to share. But I also, the first thing I did was call Travis and ask, has our lawyer seen it? And he said, yes, our lawyer has seen it, that both what we prepared and stands behind the fact that what we prepared is factually accurate. So I guess at this point, I feel like we could go back and forth with what Alliance says and what we say. To me, the best avenue is to send it to the ethics board, say what they say. Like, is what we say biased? And they're going to say if it's biased, they'll turn it down. This is a delay tactic by Alliant. I realize that they may have sent it to us 2 hours ago, but they've been thinking about these responses longer than the day in which they've had to do it. So they have millions of dollars to throw at us, to have lawyers research every word we say. They will fight over every word we have in here. And our best course of action is to use the government entities established to help us navigate this, which is the ethics board. So we could go through this, and I'm happy to provide all of the context of which I would refute what they say and agree with what they say. But I do think that it is a delay tactic, and we are already sitting with a short amount of time and an immense amount of work, some of which has been created by Alliant in their FOIA request to us. So I guess I don't really want to feed the dog that's biting us. So I guess for me, I'd rather just go to the ethics board, let the ethics board decide what it is we have prepared. If it's ethical, we move forward. If they say not, maybe that's the time that we look at this more
I want to
closely.
hear from other council people.
I guess I just have one question of Steve. Is your major concern the legal entanglements we could possibly get ourselves into if we don't tread slowly on this and go down?
I
think
can't
that's valid,
speculate
is that-
about hypothetical future legal entanglements. I do know that they make some serious claims here, and I think they're worth taking seriously. And I just want to make sure that everyone on the council voting tonight has the feeling that they trust the ethics board's discretion in terms of judging whether our educational documents are in fact unbiased and in accordance with Iowa law and factually accurate. Do we trust the ethics board to make that determination? I sort of lean to doing that, but I don't want the public to have the impression that we got this letter that has, some reasonable points. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of them, but I think there's reasonable points, and we just ignored it because I think it's important to consider these arguments well. So if you're all comfortable, I am, using the Iowa Ethics Board as a check on any potential bias that's snuck into our process. I'm comfortable with that, but I want to make sure we're all clear on that.
I think Steve makes a very valid point. We got the analysis from our attorney on Friday. This document here, we just got this afternoon, and I've already received a couple of pieces of input from the public in reference to this document. So I think, as Steve mentioned, there's a lot of information to digest that we've just had thrown at us within a few days, and a lot of it just within the last few hours. So to tread slowly on this, I don't think is a bad idea. Steve made a
Let's
valid
go.
point.
Christopher?
Yeah, I would agree with that sentiment as well. There's been a lot of information thrown at us, and even the last, sent that email at 2:00. So the last couple hours, and I personally haven't had time to review it. I feel like, it's best to tread lightly, to Steve's point, and just making sure that we're taking all the proactive step approaches as we go through this process. Because from my understanding, does it have to go to the ethics anyway before we even publish it?
Well, that's the motion that's out
Okay.
there.
Yeah, I just want to confirm. Yeah. Yeah.
If they want time, we could look at some of their claims right now and see if you could bring them up and We could discuss them now. We've got time.
Let's hear from the other council people.
Yeah, so I did see it probably about an hour and a half prior for the council. And I did go through it and I did read some of the things that Alliant had said. I look at it in a different perspective. Perspective number one is I'm not an attorney, okay? So, that's one way that I have to look at it as far as when I'm reading through this. Two, I have to trust our legal counsel that says that it's good to go. I work and live in a world that is full of attorneys telling me that, everything that I do is not good because of defense attorneys, and all these attorneys are going to represent their clients. It just is what it is. I'm not surprised that we got these from Alliant, rebuttaling some of the stuff. I think even if the stuff that they mentioned was taken care of, there'd be other things. That's just kind of what Alliant pays their counsel to do. I'm at the point that, I trust our special counsel that represents us. If it goes to the ethics board and it's good, I can trust that. Again, I'm not an attorney. I'm sending it to people that know what they're looking at, can make educated decisions, and can tell us this is okay. And that's where I'm at.
Okay, Randy,
Well, I
can
like,
you make sure that you have your,
yep, I'm here.
okay.
I like the slower approach also. This was one of the concerns that we raised back when this all started, though, is who's going to do the fact checking and who's the expert on this stuff, so we make sure we don't get ourselves into some legal entanglement. We've got a special attorney that wants to do this kind of work. They're for the MEUs. We don't have an unbiased one in that aspect. It's hard to read this stuff because, like Brent said, it's written in legalese instead of English, so it's hard to understand, and that's why we have to have somebody else explain to us what's going on. And Travis, did this Alliant letter also get sent to the ethics board as part of, to do
Not
it?
to my knowledge. I
Okay.
received it the same time you all did.
Okay, all right. So I'm for the slower approach to make sure we don't step into something that we can't get out of.
Can you,
I want to be clear. You were saying what Alliance sent.
Yes, did that also
Yeah.
get forwarded to get that fact checked
haven't-
with the ethics board?
No,
haven't
and
sent
that'd be on
anything
them.
so far.
So
To
they
the
don't.
ethics board.
Sorry, they don't actually have to fall under Iowa Code Chapter 68, so they're not required to do that.
Okay.
We
okay.
could send it to the Iowa Utility Board, though, because they have said that they would fact check Alliant. But again, this is a tactic to delay, right? And the longer they delay us, the less information that is out there, the more that they are able to disseminate theirs. I appreciate what Brent said. I think it is important that we trust the lawyers that we have. And to me, what allows us to move forward will be the ethics board, right? It is why I think that we should send this to the ethics board and let them say yes or no. Because we can go back and forth about legality, and if we look at this and decide to change this word or that word, it's gonna go back to our lawyer and back to Alliant, and ultimately it still has to go to the ethics board. So I guess in my mind, this is the next step
Yes.
to the ethics board.
Carrie, can you read the motion, please, since we've had a rather lengthy discussion?
Neil, move the motion to approve, whoops, wrong one. Consider approval of master list of educational material for MEU vote contingent on the approval of the Iowa Ethics Board.
Okay,
Is that correct?
That's
okay.
correct.
Just, any further discussion? Roll call?
Neil,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Olson,
No.
Zergren,
Aye.
Chisel,
No.
Miscelinich.
No.
I did ask Parker, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So can we have a special meeting?
This motion failed? Correct.
So what does this mean in terms of, we now can't submit this to the ethics board?
Correct. So,
Ever.
unless a motion to reconsider were to be brought up by the prevailing side, so those that voted no, the first has to be a motion to of the motion to reconsider has to be one of the no votes. The second could be by anybody. That motion would have to pass, and then you could.
So we're not,
Otherwise, it's a year from now, right? Because the beginning of the year is after an election, where a regular election after council member takes their seat. So that wouldn't apply.
so what, can someone from the prevailing side then tell me what the plan is?
Another alternative would be if the content were to be changed, like if there are material changes to the content, that's a new consideration.
Content of the motion? you're talking
No,
about?
no, no, of the
Material.
actual material. So if the content were to be changed materially, so not changing
One word.
the
here,
to and stuff like that, then it's a new consideration of the council.
Okay, I need a clarification. So the no votes were against sending the list of educational material MEU vote to the Iowa Ethics Board. Is that correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted
can
to
I-
make
And against approving the master education document from the MEU task force. So that vote carried it. Emily's vote was both to approve the education documents from the MEU task force and to submit them, or pending submission to the ethics board.
Got it.
Can I
So
make an,
I think either one of those two things being stripped from it would certainly change the motion. And I heard in council discussion that there is, sort of different willingness to do one or the other of those things. And I agree with Emily's question. Christopher and Kirsten, I don't think that you are against having factually correct educational information disseminated. So I'm curious, it seems to me like it's important to hear from you what substantial changes would lead to us having information you'd be comfortable getting out there.
Well, I just think that the main thing was, the point that you brought up was the fact that we need a little more time to digest the information we've just been provided here within the last few hours and stuff like that. I'm open to having a meeting whenever we, within the next few days or something like that. If that
Okay, so can I make a
paper
suggestion?
down, if everybody has time
Can I ask
to
you
look
one
at the
question?
information.
So what you're saying is you want more time to look at the list of educational materials?
No, the information we just got provided from the attorneys and from Alliant Energy. It just
Okay.
came in this afternoon.
Okay, so you just want more time to look at both of those
Right,
items?
right.
Okay,
To make sure that we're not.
I just wanted to clarify
Right,
that.
We're not getting ourselves digging ourselves a hole here by advocating material that may get us in trouble down the road.
would,
I got a question real quick, and maybe this is a procedural question. So if, let's say, Kirsten, Chris, and Randy looked at it and said, yeah, we're good to go, and we wanted to vote yes, we can still do that, or has that ship to sailed based on our no vote?
I think you have to,
Does that
So-
make sense?
it has to come back to the council again, right?
So John and I were just sidebarring. I think Stephen was getting there. Another possible way, instead of materially changing the content, you can materially change the motion by cutting it in half. Make the motion to send to the Iowa Ethics Board, and then get that feedback, and then the council could consider at a later date an actual motion to approve that list. So if you cut the motion in half, you have materially changed that, it's no longer the same motion, you don't need a motion to reconsider.
And it's gotta come back to the council.
so, and we can do that now.
Correct.
So we could, Kirsten, if you're willing, we could send this to the Iowa Ethics Board and review our educational material at the same time, essentially. Because it has been already, you sent it to the Ethics Board, correct?
No, I
No.
sent an email requesting that they,
Oh, sure, okay.
It hadn't
'Cause I-
gone to the ethics.
But we could send this to the ethics board, which would also inform, maybe they're gonna say no anyway, irregardless of what Alliant has just sent us. So if they don't approve it anyway, we start over. If they do approve it and somehow we then want to take or we can take into consideration what Alliant has sent in addition to that.
Yeah, I guess I think, Travis, you saw where I was kind of leading. I think it'd be worth us sending this proposed material from our task force to the ethics board regardless. I think it'd be good to have information from the ethics board in terms of review. So I'm in support of a standalone motion to do that. I also think that as soon as we hear back, we should be ready to act on their response.
Do we have to wait till the next council meeting then to act on that? The feedback we get from the ethics board?
You think a special meeting's fine, that it's
Yeah.
not actually, because they're substantially different motions?
It's a new motion.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you could do a special meeting.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean,
And-
I'm open to that.
And
Yeah.
so a special meeting would state that this, that we have on here would go to the ethics board. Is that correct?
But we can make that motion tonight.
Yeah,
Right,
We
you
can
gotta
make that
it
motion
tonight,
right now.
Right now.
I'm gonna make a motion that we
Okay.
send this document to the Iowa Ethics Board, and then when they come back, we have a special meeting about it.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Neal, second by Olson. Discussion?
Checking with John that Emily's motion is germane to the agenda item. I just want to make sure that
It's
it's,
not an, yes, since it's not
contemplated.
an action item on the agenda, can we do this?
It is.
Well, it is an action.
Well, but the action item was defeated.
I'll refer
the-
to,
The action item is approval of the master list of educational materials. So I think one way or another, I think in essence, her motion though is approving, let me take a step back. How is this different from the last motion?
Because we're not approving the educational material until it comes back.
they're not approving the educational material. They are requesting just to send it on
Just to
be-
get their
get it,
feedback.
to get it to the Iowa Ethics Board.
But I have a question. Why do we even need a resolution? Why can't, if we're not gonna look at the educational materials until it gets back, can't we just direct city staff to send this to the Iowa Ethics Board, give us another opinion from our attorney, and then come back?
We're back to that same point I made earlier, that as long as 4 out of the 6 of you tell me that that's what you want, then yes.
Okay.
So that's why we're having it as a vote.
I personally, and people can nod if they agree with this, then I would like to see us sending any proposed material to the Iowa Ethics Board, because I think their feedback, if they're willing to do it in timely fashion, would be valuable. I also think that that we should ask our attorney to respond to Alliance points so that our conversation next time is better engaged. And I think that we should plan on scheduling a special meeting the second that we all feel equipped to act on the motion that we defeated tonight.
I can get on board with that.
Do we need to act on our motion that was made first?
I don't think so.
I don't
they
think we
just
actually
said
have to have a motion. I think that was
what
sort of,
they're-
right?
Does all the council agree to have staff send the educational material for the MAU vote to the Iowa Ethics Board?
Which item is that on the agenda?
No, we're not gonna vote. We're just directing staff.
We're just directing staff in order to have them review, educate the educational material.
Heard.
Are you thoroughly confused now, Travis?
Nope,
Okay.
Can I have another question
not voting.
about this. Can we meet in closed session with our lawyer about this?
I don't know that it would meet one of the requirements or out of 21.5,
7, is it?
one,
No,
21.5I, yeah. No I's person. Anyway, that's gotta be imminent.
Because it's not imminent?
We'd have to take, yeah, litigation's not imminent, and that's the key word in the pending litigation.
Why could we meet, so when we were discussing the franchise agreement and we met with our lawyer, why could we do that in?
That's where I'm wondering if trade secret didn't maybe come into play.
I don't remember everything that was going on.
Can you
at
look into that?
time.
Because I do think it would maybe be a next step
Mhm.
to have council meet with legal
Yeah.
counsel.
I'll do that.
Okay,
I do want to see this run by, I want to see Alliance letter responded to by our council as well. I'm not sure if, we only discussed the ethics board, so.
I do-
It sounds like there will be a time when we would be able to do that.
I do have one question about the educational material, though. I see the very first line says short version for city council. Is that indicating there's another version of this educational material?
I think that didn't she send out another one earlier? And so this is this shorter version?
Carly got feedback,
Yeah, there was a
Right,
draft.
Carly got feedback, I know.
Right.
so to condense.
I think that, so she shortened it, and that's the second version.
So then to clarify, I mean, we didn't approve this tonight, but if we had, this is not adopting another document by reference. This is the entire substance
Right.
of the
Right,
educational
right.
materials.
That's correct.
So we can
Good.
take that part out of there,
Yeah, yeah.
actually. Okay.
All
That's it.
right. Stay tuned. Okay, mayoral appointment of Johanna Bergen to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Just like I've always done, we have advertised for this opening on the Planning and Zoning. We had a deadline, I believe it was December 6th, I think, to have applications in. I got 3 applications. I got Billy Connor, Jared Vademas, that's correct, and Johanna Bergen. I interviewed all 3 of them, and I reviewed the applications. And in reviewing the applications, I had noted on Johanna Bergen her history as far as being on city council, but also that she had completed the Iowa State Planning and Zoning workshops that come up. And I felt that she had the most experience. I also reviewed what guidelines I could go by, not only from the state codes, but also from our own city code. And thus I'm recommending Johanna Bergen for the Planning and Zoning Commission. That's an action requested.
I recommend approval of Johanna Bergen to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Second?
Motion made by Neal, seconded by Olson. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, roll call.
Neal,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Chisel,
No.
Parker,
Aye.
Miscelinich,
Aye.
Zittergren.
Aye.
Motion carried. Discussion of fiscal year 2026 budget work session dates.
Okay, so included in council packet, Dropbox file 010 is a full calendar of all the deadlines and everything we need to meet in order to submit the budget by April 30th. So in recent history, the council's had 2 work sessions where one has focused on non-general fund departments in the first night, the second night, the general fund related departments, and then an overall budget discussion as, part of that second night. Last year, for those that were, actually, everyone's here, I'm off here. But for everyone last year, if you remember, we actually held 2 budget work sessions and a regular work session all within the same week. We as staff thought that may have been a bit overwhelming, at least workload-wise. So what we're proposing is to try and stagger a little bit. So proposed dates would be Thursday, January 23rd for the non-general fund. So that's water, sewer, streets, essentially. So Thursday, January 23rd, and Monday, January 27th, which would be the 4th Monday. That's the one we all reserved for our work session date. That would be the general fund related departments and the overall budget discussion.
Personally, I like having the gap. At least I can look at everything we've talked about and researched versus always having it in the same week. as we have in the past.
I have a conflict on the 27th, but I can change it if I have to. Just, I think if I have to, but I was hoping other council members also had conflicts.
I'm looking.
Those dates work great for me, so I apologize, Steve.
Thanks. Yeah, they work for me as well. Sorry, Steve.
You're getting down there.
Yeah.
They work okay for you, Chris?
Yeah, dates work good for me.
Guess Randy's checking his calendar. They work okay for you?
So far.
Okay. So we'll respectfully ask you to
I'm gonna do it.
reconsider your appointment.
Gonna do it.
And so, are we good with a 5 o'clock start time, 5:45? The first one on the 23rd, the non-general fund ones, if we start at 5:45 on that one, that should be fine. That one doesn't typically run too terribly long. It's that second meeting, the general fund and the overall budget one, that's the one that runs pretty long. If we could start that one at 5, that would be good.
That work for
Does that work?
Would both of them work at 5?
Yeah.
No, okay.
You wanna
May
do
we have
at
both
5
of them
for
at 5?
consistency?
I can make a motion
Okay.
for it, but
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, and so my goal to get,
are you gonna feed us?
what's that?
Are we gonna feed
Yes.
ourselves?
How
As long as
about
we
the
have food.
27th?
We'll have food.
I wouldn't have
27.
eaten since like,
No, we have to have
Bring a
food.
dish.
Yeah.
okay.
We have to have food.
27th, there'll be food. 23rd, not so much. And I'm sure there'll be this many people in attendance for both as well.
Potluck.
Well, why would you not have it on the 23rd, food on the 23rd?
Oh, we should be, this way it motivates you guys to go a little faster.
Okay, all right. Bring your sack lunch. How about that? Okay, Travis.
Yes, quickly, just point out, we're about to enter the holiday season. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, everyone. And, but we're also about to enter the legislative session. And myself, the mayor, Carrie, we attended a legislative forum over in Cresco where the very first, what's on legislators' minds, the very first comments are property taxes. So it sounds like it's going to be another year where that's on the topic of discussion. We did hear some mixed responses on some of our legislators advocating for let's just hold off on making changes until we see the impacts from last year's legislation play out. But that's definitely on the forefront of everyone's mind down in Des Moines. Have my first Iowa League of Cities Legislative Policy Committee tomorrow, so I'll hear what the word is down around Des Moines. I'm sure it's more of the same, and I'll have more to report in the future.
Hey, Carrie?
Just wanted to remind everybody that this Thursday, Chip Peterson will be here for headshots. Can anybody give me an idea of who plans to be here off of council? Steve? Christopher?
I like my headshot. I want to freeze myself in time.
That's fine,
Me
just
too.
checking.
Will that
Okay.
be in here?
Yeah.
At
Thank
1
you.
1 p.m.?
What?
No, I just questioned if it was gonna be in here at 1 p.m.
All right. Council, let's go this way. Emily,
Oh, I wasn't prepared for you to go this way.
do you want me to go back and go down the other way? or
Yeah,
do-
yeah,
okay.
come back to me, come back.
Brent,
I have nothing.
Christopher,
I have nothing tonight either.
Kirsten.
First thing I have is that we have a election coming up January 7th. I talked to the auditor today. Ballots will be in tomorrow, and hopefully early voting will start on Wednesday for that city council election coming up on January 7th. So we should have the ballots in on time.
On Wednesday,
Wednesday, early voting will start, yep, if he's got them in. Said he should get them in tomorrow, so.
perfect. Thank you.
I attended hotel motel meeting last Tuesday and got some good information out of that. Their informational source they use is from Arrivalist data, and that's the leading platform in the travel industry. And 2024 showed similar numbers to 2023, but we had a much stronger October and November as far as tourism went. around here. The biggest change was overnight stays. From the Decorah Visitor Center, the reports were they had people that visited from 18 different states here, as well as Canada, Germany, and Norway. So we had 3 different countries and 18 different states. The Viking Cruise Lines was very successful for the city of Decorah again. They had 9 visit days from August through October. Unfortunately, they had 13 of those dates that were canceled due to low water, so that restricted the amount of visitors we actually got out of that. Upcoming things in 2025, they have 3 things coming up. They have a Gamma Ride, which is a great annual Model A ride across Iowa Rally will be coming through Decorah, and Iowa Airstream Rally, and again, the Viking River Cruise thing, they're renewing their contract for 2025 and 2026 currently. Trade shows, Iowa Bike Expo, we're becoming quite a hot spot for bicycling, both mountain biking as well as just regular biking on our bike trail and stuff like that. We're becoming quite the hot spot for that. And the other thing they have coming up in March is Canoe-a-copia, which obviously translates to the amount of use our river gets. So, good reports from the Hotel Motel.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Steve?
Yeah, thanks, Kirsten. I was taken by some of those arrival list numbers too when I saw them. It's great. It's a great resource that our tourism partners leverage to make sure that Decorah stays a place that people want to visit and makes it a better place to live as well. And I really appreciate the work that everyone does down there at the development office in Winnebago County Development and Tourism. It's a lot of work on our behalf. So I also just want to wish I guess everyone here a really happy and safe holiday season.
Randy?
Excuse me, not much, just echo, Merry Christmas and have a safe New Year's, everybody. We'll see you next year. Thank you.
Emily?
My favorite event happened in Decorah this past weekend. I love the holiday parade so much, and it was magical. So thank you, and thanks to the street department for our first giant major icy challenge, especially. However you fixed Ravine Street was amazing, so thank you. I just wanted to ask all my council members, it is going to prove difficult, I think, and I'm seeing that, for us to be able to educate the community on this vote. And I really would encourage, my understanding is that as individuals, right, we are able to say however it is that we feel about the vote, what we know about the vote, and what this vote means. And so we are representatives, not as a city, but we're also individuals. And we can't speak for council, but we can speak for ourselves. And I think it is important as council people that we're talking about the vote, at least to let people know that it's happening and express our own personal opinions. Because I think there's a lot of information out there and people don't have anywhere to go to get it at this point. So I guess maybe I'm just saying it because I will be, right? I mean, and so I don't want people to think that I'm breaking the law. And so maybe I should just speak on behalf of me, right? It is well within my rights as a council person to have an individual feeling about this issue, which obviously I do, and that is not a surprise. So I guess more to be said on that later, but happy holidays, everyone. Happy New Year, and see you on the flip side, I guess.
I had the pleasure of being able to go on a tour of the new Decorah VA clinic. It is beautiful. The space is so much bigger, 17,000 versus 8,000 right now. The design is got a lot of windows, sunlight coming in. I know they've been aware of all the ecological needs that they need to have in a building. It's supposed to be open, I believe, in February. It will have some expanded services. I know there's a hearing booth, which I don't believe they have now, but there will be additional doctors that will be on hand. But I was totally impressed and really excited for the public to be able to see what a great building that's going to be. Happy holidays to everybody, and we'll see you in next year. Motion to adjourn. Thank you very much.